smile for the camera. Welcome, everyone, to Education Today. I'm your host, Scott Noons. You can follow me on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook at Mr. Noons Teach. I am so delighted to have on the Wakelet crew for the Special Friendsgiving episode today, and I can't wait. I'm just going to get right into it. And I'm just going to start with you, Callum. we go back to 2018 when I first heard about Wakelet. I went to Fall Q in October, and then a couple weeks later, I got a call from MISPA, but we didn't sync up. And then you followed up, and you were able to meet with me at, I think, like 3 a.m. your time. We finished up around 4 a.m. That was insane, and Wakelet has grown just exponentially since then. What has your journey been like in a nutshell?
Yeah, I think cliche, but a roller coaster. I think everyone says it's always a roller coaster, but I think, yeah, been a couple of years, time has flown by, and I think the passion is always just as strong as it was just right at the beginning. I think obviously Wakelet a few years back was a bit less known in the education sector, but us sort of like speaking to people and hearing how people actually love and use Wakelet from around the world was just like inspiring. And to see Wakelet grow from 3 years ago to now being sort of a globally used platform is just crazy. And yeah, it's just been a fun experience, and it's always inspiring to see how people are using it.
Right. I think I commented on this on my LinkedIn. What I really gleaned from your experience was you modeled for me, now that I'm at an ed tech company myself, how to really be there for educators and the users. You're really operating on their time when it's convenient for them. And my teacher heart really gets all the warm fuzzies inside when I think about that, because I know how much that meant to me to hear you sacrifice. It means something. You have some skin in the game, you're willing to sacrifice. And that's what teachers want. We want leaders and allies that are going to be right there alongside us. And that's why I'm so pumped about this Friendsgiving, right? The American Thanksgiving is tomorrow, right? It's so early, Tisha. I'm still waking up. It's
so
tomorrow.
Early for you. It is. Thanksgiving's tomorrow. Yeah. Are you ready, Scott?
I am so ready. And so, like we talked about, I kind of jumped the gun a little bit, as I tend to do when I get excited when I have on great guests as yourselves. Do you even know what a Friendsgiving is? I'm going to throw that out there. Anyone can feel free to unmute themselves, or if you're not sure, let's take a guess. I'll kind of go maybe one by one. If I could put you in the hot seat, I'm going to go with L. What do you think Friendsgiving is? What is that?
I knew you were going to come to me first, and I knew that I was just didn't know. I would say being grateful for your friends, or being appreciative of your friends or the people around you. That would be my guess. But even if it's not that, I already like the concept. I think the word is lovely. So hopefully it's something about being thankful and wanting to have nice people around you. But yeah.
And Sam, what do you think?
I was going to go for something similar, being thankful for friends. So if it's not that, I'll be quite surprised.
And Michael, what do you think?
I guess for me, it would be stopping and taking a moment to appreciate the friends and the loved ones that you have around you.
Yeah. And what about you, Callum? What do you think? Putting you on the spot too.
Yeah, I think, taking that second to let time stand still for a bit and think about maybe memories you've had with some friends over the past year, and just say thanks, and thanks for supporting me this year, and thanks for all the memories, sort of thing. Often we're really busy with life and working and doing lots of different things. We don't really get time just to sit and think about our friends and our family and stuff like that. So it's good to sort of set aside some time to think.
What do you think, Tisha? Did they nail it?
I think they pretty much nailed it. The only
Yeah,
thing they left out was the food. So you gather together, which we don't have a spread of food here, but
I have
Scott
a
and I do
spread
have
of
we have our
morning
coffee.
beverages.
Yeah. So it is. It's exactly what you all said. Getting together with your friends. A lot of times people will do Friendsgiving the weekend before or the week before Thanksgiving because everybody's traveling. Typically, they're traveling to go see family. Um, and then there are some people who maybe can't be with their family for Thanksgiving, so they will do the Friendsgiving on Thanksgiving and just invite a bunch of friends over. So it's exactly that. I think I like Friendsgiving better. Christmas is my favorite, so hands down, I love Christmas.
Yes.
But the reason I love Thanksgiving and this time of year is that, like you all said, we stop and it's taking that pause. And I think a lot of times, teachers, educators, parents, even at Wakelet, I don't think they sleep. Um, we need to take a pause, and I think that's what this week is really good for, right? And I see we have friends joining us. Sorry, I have to shout
Yeah.
out Mel and Lori. We're so
Yeah,
excited you're
good
here.
call. So Mel's joining us from Colombia, and Lori, if I'm not mistaken, she's from New York. Definitely East Coast. So welcome. I really appreciate you getting up and joining us. I know it's about 8 a.m. on the East Coast, so maybe you're driving to work, just got at work, or maybe you're in a prep period in a meeting. I don't know. But thankful for everyone joining in and tuning in. And if you have any questions too for the Wakelet crew, drop it in the comments and we'll be keeping an eye out for those. Tisha like does it all. She's like so on it. I was getting ready for bed last night and she messaged me back. I'm like, how's she doing that? She has to get up too. I'm feeling so tired. How is she doing that? And it's like
Do you
that
want to know the
every
secret,
day.
Scott?
Yes.
The secret is that when I went to Manchester, they gave me this special magic power where I also don't sleep now.
Okay, okay. And I'm totally going to butcher the holiday, and you sent it over, Tisha, and I got so busy I didn't read it. But is it Guy Fawkes Day? What? Tell us about that. Anybody can kind of come off mute. That sounded so intriguing. What is that? Why do you celebrate that?
Sam, you did a collection on this. I think you'd be best to take it. Your collection was really good.
Okay, sure. Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one if you're not from the UK, because you probably won't have heard the story, but it's called Bonfire Night or Guy Fawkes Night. It kind of goes by two names. But it's basically a kind of remembrance of the time where Guy Fawkes tried to blow up the Houses of Parliament in London. And I've got a collection about it, which I'll share. But yeah, it's just a
Nice.
bit of a
We'll
strange
put that
one
in the show
because
notes.
yeah, it's a night where everyone gets together and there's a big bonfire and like fireworks and everyone stands around like drinking hot chocolate. So it's quite nice, even though it's kind of remembering something a bit sinister.
Oh, that's pretty rad. I do like that. I think anytime you can kind of come up with a reason to get together with friends or family, have a good time, share some memories, uh, that's really great. Now, I have a question, and Tisha was on the hunt for this. Do you all chew or use Airwaves gum? Okay, so whenever I come to the UK, whenever that is, I need y'all to show me where to get some because that is like the best, longest lasting gum. Everybody tuning in, don't listen to that. Don't go by that because I need some for whenever I go. A coworker from the UK shared some, and I was just like, "This is the best gum ever." And so I'm looking forward to that whenever
You
I
know,
make a trip out there.
you know it's interesting, Scott. It's so intriguing. because I sent a package over to the Wakelet headquarters, I don't know, in the summer at some point. And so I kind of asked everybody, like, what do you want me to put in this box? And let me just tell you, the box continued to grow and shipping was a little bit astronomical at a certain point. But anything for the Wakelet team. And I asked them all, but specifically I asked Elle, I said, what do you want me to throw in here? And she said, Tisha, I really want some ice cubes. And like for half of a day, I was super confused. I really thought Elle was talking, like, I was like, you don't have ice in the UK. I was super concerned about it. I didn't even understand. And then she's like, no, the gum, the ice cube. So that's actually what I sent over to Elle was the ice cube gum. It's so funny. You guys should
Oh,
do a pen
wow.
pal and trade gum with each
Yeah.
other.
Trade snack foods.
Yeah, for sure. I'd be down for that. That sounds great.
It's official, everyone. You heard it first here. Well, transitioning back to kind of the education side of things, I want to hear a little bit about everyone. Like, how did you get started with Wakelet? And in short, where are you going personally? I see the office in the background. It's so cool. It reminds me of the Canva office. I'm seeing all the different locales. We have some cool little spots. Like we have a chill little outside spot that's really nice. I'm loving the background there, Sam. It's like the perfect spot. And I like Elle's view. And then we also have some industrial stuff like Michael and then Callum where you're at. It looks kind of like our little conference room. So that's really neat too. Oh, wow. Look at that. That is rad. It's like we're there, but not there. We're getting a tour. That is so cool. Let's start with you, Tisha, because I know a lot of educators ask me, like, how did you get to where you're at now, working for an ed tech company and being on that side? While educators love education, love being in the classroom, maybe there are some things, some goals that you have, or if you're like me, you outgrew your district a bit and you wanted to have a greater impact. Like, where did you get your start and where are you now? And
It's so intriguing, Scott. I know I have a podcast with Michael coming up, so you'll hear a little bit about my story in the coming months. But it was really early. You guys, I'm double their ages, so I try to keep up with them all the time. But the truth is, in the 90s, I talk about my dad a lot, but he gave me my very first laptop. It was like a Toshiba, I believe, laptop, and it was like 1995. And my dad was always really good at like kind of seeing what I was good at without really even telling me. So I think he saw in me this love of video games. I mean, I played Atari and Nintendo and loved doing that. I mean, I probably could be a gamer if you let me, but he gave me a laptop, and it was when I got that laptop and started troubleshooting. See, here I go. Like, I've always been a troubleshooter. I was troubleshooting. I didn't understand how to connect to the internet. Like right now, it's so easy for people to do that. But back then, I was like, I don't understand why this telephone cable came with my laptop. What is happening here? And I realized I had to plug it into my phone. And once I did that, it really was where the magic started. I didn't realize I loved ed tech per se because I didn't know that's what it was right. I didn't understand that at that point, but I started learning the chat rooms in AOL. I remember talking to some crazy guy who thought he told me he was like a really famous Hollywood like music producer, and I remember even back then in the can you still hear me? Sorry,
Yep.
Alexa's talking to me. So I just thought, wow, like I was already having to sort of vet people on chat way back in the 90s. But as it developed, I started realizing I have this huge love for technology and education. And I just sort of married the two very naturally. And then when I went into college, I told my professors and my advisors that I wanted to get a degree in English, but I also wanted to get a degree in, computers. I wanted to teach kids how to navigate that space and how to learn those skills. And my professors told me that that wasn't going to work, that nobody had ever done that. And I said, well, I'm going to do that. So you could tell me no all day, sign me up for all those classes. And so that's kind of how it happened. I had to go take programming classes back in the 90s because they didn't have an educational technology degree. But I've always had an interest in that. And it wasn't until 2017, 18, when I started my master's degree at University of North Texas, that I really sort of realized an undiscovered dream that I wanted to be in the educational technology space, even then. So everything I did really lined up with that. And I talk about goals more with Michael on that podcast, but, you know, just setting your goals, knowing what you want. Willie Nelson says, you know, imagine what you want and then get out of your own way. So that's kind of what you have to do.
That's amazing. And I can relate. You went way back, which I love. And if I go way back, I started out as a graphic designer and very similarly started tinkering, taught myself how to code in the 90s about the same time. I think I taught myself how to code in 96 and then started a small business went in 98 with 3 guys I knew, and then failed, struggled through that. And then education was my second career. And I thought, you know, I'm coming in so late. How can I catch up? All these people have, you know, a dozen years or so over me that are about my age. What can I do? And I was like, I need to play to my strengths. And that is tech. And so I fell in love with ed tech instantly and hit the ground running with that. And I fulfilled a childhood dream. One of my dreams in high school was to work for a growing startup. And I'm living that dream right now with Canva. I can't wait to see where it goes. And it's been so cool to see Wakelet as a startup just grow, and absolutely love the community. I think that's one of the things that Wakelet does super well, is just help people collaborate and communicate with their community. Basically, if there's a way to kind of gather something or pull something in or showcase something, you all are trying to do it. And that's why I'm a huge fan. And you can kind of see my Wakelet ambassador shirt. That's why I love continuing to be a Wakelet ambassador. I'm going to throw it over to you, Callum. You know, tell us real quick about yourself and let us know what you do at Wakelet.
Sure. So I've actually been at Wakelet coming up, well, just past 5 years now, so quite a while. I've always been like quite an entrepreneurial person. I've always had sort of tried to do my own things with like starting up my own business and sort of selling things, and always just had my idea like being proactive and learning things. And one time when actually me and James, we had sort of James from the community team, we had our own mini business, and
Wow.
we got to a point where we wanted to like take it to the next level. So James was going to an event where Jamil, the founder of Wakelet, was at, and he said, if anybody wants any business advice, any like mentorship, anything like that, please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to help. So that's what we did. We reached out to Jam. We met him, and we sort of pitched what our idea was and what our business was. And he gave us sort of 3 options. He said, I can either help you, give you advice, maybe get you some investment. I can like get involved and help you a little bit, or you can take a job at Wakelet, and I want you to take you on board. I really like the entrepreneurial side of you that we see. We can see you got a lot of growth, and you can help Wakelet grow as well. So after being sold the dream of Wakelet and what Wakelet is and what it could be in the future, we took the decision, we want to join Wakelet. It's like a really good opportunity for us. At the time, we were quite young as well, so it was really an interesting place to sort of learn how to be an entrepreneur within a company, because you sort of start up your own little mini business in a company to help grow that within the company, if that makes sense. So time passes by anyway. I think we was at Wakelet for about a year and a half, until we started really focusing on the education sector. And I remember there was a period where we had people like Randall Sampson, Carly Mora, we started having people like Matt Miller starting to post about Wakelet, and that's where we went, right, let's go full in with trying to get the word out there of Wakelet. And we sort of went fully in on like trying to be there for educators and support them in anything that they were doing. And if we could speak to people on video calls or anything like that, just make sure we was available at any time to reply, whether that's a support request, people wanted a tutorial on Wakelet, anything like that. We were just available at any time, night or day, to support those educators. And that takes me to where I sort of am now and where I'm developing in Wakelet. Obviously, speaking to users, people that are using the platform, it's always good to hear like how they're using it and what problems they have and how we can continue to improve the platform. So that sort of helped me transition to where I am at Wakelet right now, which is a product manager. So my job is to listen to users, is to hear what problems they have, and then try and make Wakelet the best platform possible for teachers and students. And what better people to make a platform for? Their teachers are people. Everything starts with education. Like nothing in the world starts without education. So I think that's where it's really inspiring. So yeah, that's me.
I like that. And just because you're right next to him, Elle, let's go to you.
Yeah, it's an interesting question actually. Me and Sam were talking about this the other day, of like how we kind of realized that we liked being creative and kind of being in design. And we were talking, I was saying how when I was at school, I was like part of like a media team and loads of different film things and making little videos, making magazines. And I didn't realize that being a graphic designer, that could be a job. I didn't sort of know that you could actually do that. But when I did realize that, I ended up going to college to study it, and then of course university as well. And yeah, just continue to kind of really love what the craft was, and the fact that there were so many opportunities to learn and so many ways to be creative as well. That's, I think, probably one of my favorite things about being in the creative space. So yeah, I graduated university. I think I handed in my final project and started at Wakelet the next day.
Wow.
So yeah, which was cool. And I've been here for just over a year and a half now, or coming up to a year and a half. And yeah, it's been great. It's been really fun. There's been loads of opportunities for growth and development, and kind of working across the business in a few different areas. Just learning generally is always encouraged here. And yeah, I absolutely love it. I think continuing to learn, and Tish, you talk about that all the time, like every day is an opportunity to learn. So yeah, I feel really, really lucky. And I think the team as well just make the company what it is. Yeah.
Yes, and I think Mel, our friend from Colombia, nails the sentiment we have. Definitely epic. And I can relate. One thing I really like about Wakelet is the same thing I like about Canva, my current job, and it's the positive climate and culture and the ability to be innovative and creative right where you are. And then specifically with being on the education side, being able to leverage that for educators to help them achieve more, give them time back, help them improve their workflow, be more efficient, or to really capture their vision and then share that out to the world, and then model and empower their students to do the same thing. And really, the sky's the limit with EdTech right now. Such an exciting time. Relating back to Tisha again and what she said, like I had these ideas, and I remember teachers telling me, no, that's not going to happen. Like I had an idea for a smart board. I'm like, why do we need this whole projector thing? Why can't we just have a big screen and you can write on the screen and we can just see it, and then you can bring graphics up and stuff? Why aren't we working towards that right now? This was in probably 98. When I was having this conversation, and one teacher was like, okay, you got to do it. And of course it was like way beyond my scope, and I couldn't engineer something like that, but I'm glad smarter people than I were able to do that. I'm going to transition to you, Sam, and then I'll go to you, Michael. Sam, let us know how you got started with Wakelet.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like you were just saying, then you've kind of always been interested in tech. I'm very similar to that. I grew up tech obsessed, and I would love to have said that this was always what I thought I'd end up doing. But to be quite honest, I didn't think anything like this existed. I didn't think that you could find this sort of thing in the world, but you can't really
Right.
find it in Manchester. So yeah, working in a tech startup like this is a dream for me. And it just makes it all the better that it's education, because I started at Wakelet about a year and 6 or 8 months ago now. So it's been like nearly 2 years. Straight after uni, just like how we started at a very similar time, and it's just been a roller coaster. Getting to know like all of the users and getting to like kind of throw myself in at the deep end and see what a platform like this can do for people. It has been like a truly life-changing experience. It's more than just a job. It's like a whole life, the Wakelet way
Right.
of life.
Yeah. I don't know how to really articulate that, but I get that. I think it just ties in with the community aspect, and there's so much like interweaving with the community and our lives. Like I find myself working a lot in the off hours, so I was up late, up early working, but it wasn't like a detriment to me or my family. I was able to kind of work everything out. Yesterday was an amazing day. We had guests over for dinner, and I was able to just crank out so much and have these conversations in different time zones, even. And it just really filled me having all of these different interactions with people at different times on different things. Usually for me, the morning I'm kind of ramping up. That's usually when I'm active on social media, and then I'll transition to my work day. And then in the evening, it's kind of a blend. That's where I'm doing some of the lighter work. I'm working on more of my creative projects, the things that kind of go beyond my typical scope of helping educators. Maybe I'm really ideating on something for a conference or a new tech feature that I'm sending to somebody like, hey, what about this idea? Or what if we put our logo on this? That was yesterday. So I have an idea for some not Wakelet, sorry, Canva swag. See, I love Wakelet too. And so that's been a lot of fun. Lori's sharing, she can feel the love working for Wakelet. That is when you know how amazing the company is. It's so important to love what you do. It really is. And Wakelet brings the love, and they're so supportive with the community. And I love to see the company grow. And I love that you were able to start right after uni. I'm kind of jealous. It took me 20 plus years to fulfill my dream, but I did it. Michael, we're going to transition to you. How did you start with Wakelet?
Good question. I'm just reflecting now and trying to remember how it all went down. I've been at Wakelet for over 2 years now, and to take it back, I grew up in Ireland, and I think when I finished my undergrad at university there, I knew that I wanted to pursue something. I didn't know exactly what it was, but I wanted to pursue something exciting and be part of something exciting. So I moved from Ireland to Manchester for my master's, and when I was finishing up my master's, obviously unemployed, running out of funds, working in a bar. Job market wasn't great at the time, so I was kind of getting a little bit nervous. So I thought, okay, I'm going to get an internship at a small startup that was working in the lobby of a bigger like tech building. And just by chance, Jam knew or was an acquaintance with the person that was had founded the startup that I was working for at the time. So I met Jam through him, and it was just a casual conversation one Monday evening. So Jam started telling me a little bit more about Wakelet. He invited me to kind of just have a conversation about it, about what Wakelet was, about what the future of Wakelet was. And then I left that evening thinking, how do I get my foot in the door here? Because I was so stimulated, so excited by the concept of Wakelet and the journey that it was going in. I mean, it really was. I think I knew at the time that it was a once in a lifetime opportunity, this company to work for. So I was very adamant that I had to somehow get involved. So a few phone calls later and some messages on LinkedIn and borderline harassing Jam to try and just give me an opportunity. He did take me on and gave me a role as a brand writer. So I was helping writing some blogs, writing social media posts. And over 2 years later now, I take care of the social media accounts. I'm involved in campaigns, and there's so many opportunities to grow and to learn. So it's been a brilliant experience. It's definitely super exciting. It's exactly what I was pursuing, I think. And the fact that it was like a right place, right time kind of scenario just makes it all the more special. And I think looking back, I mean, when I started at Wakelet, I didn't realize that it was an ed tech platform, but I'm so happy that it is. I think the most meaningful element of working at Wakelet is the education community and the people that I've met from education. Obviously, Tish comes from education, and nearly every educator that I've spoken to from all over the world, whether it's from the States or from India or Europe, wherever it is, I've met some really inspiring people. So I think that's really been the highlight. Obviously, the team is amazing as well, and it's been such a rewarding experience. But yeah, being able to interact with educators from around the world has been really powerful for me.
Wow, what a cool journey. It really sounds like you didn't find the job and the role found you. It's one of those like fate things. And what a great place to end up, where you're able to have such a big impact and your time and energies are appreciated, and you're able to help so many, because educators are everywhere. And I'm going to misquote Callum a little bit, but that great line he had about how everything starts with education. You are doing some of the most impactful work, and I'm really pleased that on my end, Canva has really done that too. And I like that Wakelet has continued to do that. And it really feels like education is their focus, and whatever they're doing, it's all about helping and empowering educators however they can. And during the pandemic, oh wow, the last 20 going on 21 months now of this pandemic have been grueling. I'd be lying if I didn't admit that it's probably the greatest challenge of my life. And that definitely played into my decision as well. Not only did I fulfill a lifelong dream by transitioning to an ed tech company, and that was part of my goals, but the pandemic greatly affected that too. And it was so hard to be effective and to do what I wanted to do. And kudos to all the teachers that are staying in the thick of it and able to not only survive, but thrive. And I'm so happy that ed tech companies are kind of throwing down the gauntlet and saying, hey, we're allies in this battle right now, because it really is a battle. And I want to thank you all, because it means a lot. I know Wakelet helped me on my journey, helped me shine. If it wasn't for tools like Wakelet and Flipgrid and Microsoft, I wouldn't be where I'm at. If those tools didn't exist and didn't allow me to kind of showcase what I had in my mind, I wouldn't have been as effective as an educator or an ed tech coach. And so, my thanks to you all. And jumping back to you, Tisha, I want to know, why are you so passionate about education? You started talking about being passionate about tech. What about education, and what keeps you, not just jumping ship completely to technology? Why ed tech?
I think because I had a couple of teachers along my journey. I say this a lot. I know there's like this really big post from Adele, a video of Adele, talking about
She's
this
great.
ELA teacher that she had this 1 year. And that teacher is not teaching anymore. But I think it really shows the impact that educators have on students. And a lot of times, I know that my teachers did not understand the impact that they had in my life. They were coming to work, and for some of them, it was just a job. And for others, it was, it was a purpose. But it was because of a couple of educators. I kind of, it sounds over dramatic, but the truth is they saved me. They taught me, what I was capable of. They showed me some of my own talents that I didn't really believe in. And I always credit my freshman English teacher. I don't know what it is with English teachers, right? But my freshman English teacher is the reason that I can get on these webinars and talk to people. I know all of you say, Tisha, well, you can do it in 3 minutes. Just hop in and like host this. But it's because of her that I can do that. I didn't realize that I had that talent, and she sort of mentored me. I still talk to her to this day. I think that's what it
amazing.
is. It's about paying it forward for me specifically. And so that's why I became a teacher. I wanted to do the same thing for other students. And I hope in the 21 years that I was in the classroom, I hope that I've made an impact. You know, a lot of times teachers don't realize the impact that they're making, and sometimes they never see it or hear it. For sure, for me, the SWAT team that I created a couple of years ago, I was able as an educator to see, I was planting seeds in them, you know, at the beginning of the year, and I was able to see the fruit grow in the middle of the year. And that's not very often that that happens.
Mm.
And so for me, I really learned from them to never stop learning. And my Wakelet journey started with my students. It really came down to, hey, you have this portfolio project. You can choose whatever tool you want. I've talked about this before. I gave them the choice. I was a Google certified trainer. So I was like, yeah, you should for sure use Google Sites. I mean, what else would you use? And then a couple of my students used Wakelet and turned it in the Google Classroom. And I was like, what the heck is going on here? What is this tool? Why does it look so beautiful? I need you to teach me. And so I sat down side by side with my student and said, talk me through this. What was your reasoning? You know, how did you come to this, you know, finalization that you were going to use Wakelet? And also, how did you make it look so incredibly good? And the truth is, I've said this to a couple of teachers this week on calls, but it was because of that student and sitting side by side with her, that I made my own Wakelet portfolio. And a lot of what happened in my journey is because of that Wakelet portfolio. You know, I believed in portfolios before, long before. I mean, even in the 90s, we were doing portfolios, but there's something magical when you put your work out on Wakelet and that portfolio grows with you, right? It is an
Yes.
ever-changing living document. And it's so funny, as we've been on live, this happens all the time, but I have educators texting me. Shout out to Mary Alice Curran. If you don't know her, she's about to present on Wakelet.
Whoop, whoop.
And she's like, what do you mean you're live? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to shout you out. But, you know, it's people, it's also educators like that motivate me. I know the same thing for you, Scott, and, you know, Michael hit on it as well. Educators are my heart. That is why I do what I do. And so to be able to empower educators on a daily basis in a global capacity really also was my dream. So to be able to live out this dream has been incredible. And let me just shout out all of you here on the panel, Elle and Sam and Michael and Callum. See, they will tell their stories, but they will not give themselves full credit here. I learned from each of them every single day. And honestly, like, we're here with, I call him King Callum. he's like Mr. Wakelet. Like, and then Elle, it's so funny that they're at the top there, but I call Elle the MVP of Wakelet. Man, she will come in and save the day in like 2 minutes. Am I wrong? You guys know Elle is like saving all of us. I learned from Michael so much about social media and analytics. I mean, we have really great discussions. And Sam, we love Sam. Thank you for all the conference things. I'm telling you, the cool thing about Wakelet is that every single person has this genius niche, and they just like are learning from each other all the time. It is the coolest thing to watch, but it's also the coolest thing to be a part of as well, because they
Wow.
all make me better.
I can agree. That's something I've really experienced being on the ed tech side as well. Real quick, Lori's saying, I think Callum should change his Twitter handle to Mr. Wakelet. Quite possibly. Yeah, you definitely have been in it to win it this whole time. And I've just seen you shine, Callum. You were definitely Mr. Wakelet all the way. And I may have to start calling you King Callum too. Yes. Being at an ed tech company is so cool. And I like how you pointed out everyone's genius. I tend to call it a superpower. And so I just shouted out a coworker I think a couple days ago, my coworker Daniela, she's from the UK. I think she's from London or just outside London. I'm still kind of learning everyone a month in, and her superpower, I say that she is the Elon Musk of Canva, because she is just like so smart and knows everything and knows what each department is doing, and the company is growing so fast. It's like my mind is constantly blown, like what we do that. And I'm sure you can relate, Tisha, still being on the newer side, like what we do that, or we've done that, or we can support this program. Like, wow, just mind blown. And even though I feel like I'm bringing a lot to the table, I realize, no, I'm just one of many. And you had like this gathering of the minds there recently in the UK. We had something similar, and I equated us and our superpowers or our genius to be like the Avengers, and we're out there, on the side of good, trying to change things. And it's so exciting being on this, and then just seeing the influx of the amazing things educators are doing day in, day out, how they're staying positive, how they're fighting burnout and fighting the fatigue and finding support and showcasing all the work that they're doing with tools like Wakelet and the portfolio, which, by the way, you gave me the advice to do a portfolio when I had shared my dream about transitioning, and I asked you, hey, how'd you get that job? How can I do that too? And now I get that question pretty much every day in my inbox or via text. Hey, how did you get an ed tech job? Why did you switch? And it's really neat. And so Wakelet's part of that, right? That was on my resume. That was in my portfolio. I had portfolio stuff. There's a really great resource that got a lot of attention at the start of last school year, where I app smashed Wakelet with Flipgrid, because so many things app smash well with Wakelet. That's one of Wakelet's superpowers. And so I was doing Flipgrid videos in there, and I was getting different educators from all around the globe to put little Flipgrid videos in Wakelet. And then I had links to resources and research, like here's why you're doing the 4 C's, and here's what this method is and why to use it. And I used all the tools. I remember Eric Kurtz, Control Alt Delete, if you follow his blog and his work, he had a great Jamboard exercise. So I put that in there, like, hey, teachers, try this Jamboard. And it was a big hit, not just in my district, but kind of all over. And Wakelet made that possible because I had everything right there. And then I really like how you can see everything. And Callum, I'm going to go back to you for a moment. Speaking about ed tech, how do you envision this landscape? You've been in 5 years. What do you think the next 5 years are going to look like?
I think it's obviously everyone has been through a really tricky situation over these last 18, 21 months, however long it's been. I think the one positive we can take from it is people are now seeing the value of tech, whether that's in business, in the classroom, how it can benefit teachers and students and make people more efficient. I think that, married with a big push for sustainability and saving trees, saving paper, meeting the students where they are. They obviously they've all grown up with tech. They're all on TikTok. They're all watching YouTube. They're all using so many internet features or apps. Why not meet the students where they are? Let's transform how we deliver a lesson and put it in their context, and let them choose how they want to learn. And I think as time grows, and I think this is where Wakelet really fits in nicely, is we're bringing all these platforms that people use and allowing the students to have the choice in the way that they learn. I think one really exciting thing is gamifying it. Here's a collection. You go and learn how you want to learn, and you show me your learning how you want to show it using the tools that you like to use. And I think when students enjoy how they learn and how they can show their learning, people get better outcomes. People enjoy learning more, and it's not like, oh, I'm just learning maths. I hate maths. Now I'm actually, I want to solve this problem. I've been using this platform, this cool platform to teach me my times tables, and it's really fun. Like, I think gamification in the classroom, meeting the students where they are, and making digital experiences that really immerse them in the learning, rather than just, here's a textbook, fill in like these check boxes or those sorts of activities. Because I know for myself, I really struggled in school. I remember, I always recall history. When we did history, we had lots of big historic topics. I think it was like Spanish Civil War and British political history. And I had folders like that big of just paper with printouts of just articles. And it's like, I have to read through all this and highlight things. And like, I was really procrastinating on learning because I didn't want to open that folder. But if I can consume something as short as a Wakelet collection, say, for instance, with a video, some articles, and maybe a summary, and maybe a video from my teacher explaining some things, it's so much easier to access and learn. So I think, looking back now, my education, how I learn, I think that digital aspect of learning is really, really important. And again, when I was younger, I didn't really have a mobile phone. I didn't really use one. I didn't really have a laptop or a computer at home. So when I learned, I only could learn like digitally when I was in school, in the library. And I know there's obviously a lot of schools and a lot of people that don't all have equal opportunities right now. But I think also with all the big people like Google, Microsoft, Adobe, all these big platforms are trying to bring equal opportunities to all the students. And I think as time goes on, students can have access to the content they need and the resources they need to learn. So I think, just going forward, yeah, digital experiences that everyone can access, whether that be Wakelet, whether that be any other platform. I think it's just really exciting to see how it goes in the next even 2 years. I think that's quite high level and vague without going into too much detail, but yeah, it's quite exciting.
I think that's spot on, though. It really is hard to predict the future, especially right now with things changing. Like, many of us thought, oh, we'd be over the pandemic. We thought things would be different. I thought at the onset of the pandemic, I was really happy. Of course, I was sad people were dying, people were getting sick. There were all those things. But I thought, oh, what a great opportunity to come together. And really, all it did was really fracture things a bit more. And I think we're still seeing the effects of that. But I always have hope, and I love people, and people are great, and people always find a way to be resilient and do more, or use things in creative ways and use the tech tools. And I think we're just going to continue to see more of that. And the fact that Wakelet's on board with accentuating student voice and student choice, it's definitely going to be a contender as a tool choice in the next 5 years because of its utility. There we go. It's too early in the morning to start using big words. I was trying to use a big word. Too early for that. And yeah, I'm just really excited to see where it goes. Tisha, what do you think? Being a former educator, where do you think we're going in the next 5 years?
I would really just echo what Callum said. I think that I read all the time. I know you guys aren't surprised. I'm such a nerd. I really am. I don't think people understand. Like, I am reading all kinds of things. I just started reading about the metaverse, and I think it's all about what Callum said. It's students being immersed, and that can mean a lot of different things for a lot of different people. I think when I, talk about immersive learning, I think maybe, some educators are like, well, I really don't understand what that means. When you talk AR, VR, a lot of times educators are afraid of that. But I do think that the immersive learning is going to be a big thing in the next 5 years. you know, even my students last year were bringing, the AR VR headsets into the classroom and just being completely immersed in that environment. And I really think that that is where we're headed. It's so difficult because you have to keep a balance. As a former digital coach, you have teachers that are not there yet. And then you have other teachers that are like you and I, Scott, we're just ready to jump off the ledge of whatever is happening. And so there has to be a balance there. And I think we have to remember, as the education space changes, as the ed tech space changes, as technology changes, we need to really come together. And I think, like you said, the pandemic really kind of fractured some of the things that you and I were super hopeful for in the beginning. But I think that we can come together and, make each other better. I know truly, if it had not been for me hopping on Twitter all those years ago to really find connection with educators and other digital learning coaches, I would not be where I am today. So I think it's important for us to find those people that are not only going to support us maybe in the journey that we're at right now, but also that are going to lead us, and help us
Yes.
and guide us and mentor us to be better and take those risks. I think it's really important in schools. Also, you know, a lot of educators, I've been watching the conversation over here with Lori, and, Lori and Mel were talking about how cool it is to connect with your PLN. I think for these educational technology conferences, it's because they're so excited about going to these because they've connected with people and they feel like they belong with people. And I know for me, that was one of the things. Maybe my former school colleagues did not understand fully my nerd capacity. So going to these ed tech conferences, I was like, oh, I found my people. You all understand what I'm talking about. But I think it's really important to surround. Chuck, again, I'm going to keep like promoting our podcast, Michael. We talked about that, having somebody you're mentoring, always have somebody you're mentoring, always have somebody that's kind of on the same path as you, and also surrounding yourself with people who are doing things that you want to do, maybe know more than you do. I think it's really important to intentionally surround ourselves with those people.
Wow, you were spot on. And then I want to come to you, Michael, with the question. That is great advice. So I want to reiterate that and double down on that for the audience and anyone that will listen to this in the future. That is some of the best advice you can get: to have a mentor, to have somebody that's on the same path as you, and to mentor others. And so when you said that, I'm like, okay, yes, have a mentor. Check. Have multiple mentors. I would consider you both a mentor and somebody that's on a similar journey, because we have different strengths and weaknesses. And so it's great to learn with you, alongside of you, and to learn from you. Um, and there are other people that I kind of follow like that too. Jamie Donnelly, Matt Miller. There's so many. I could go on all day long. Our buddy Claudio Zavala, when we got together, it was like an ed camp session. Claudio's teaching us everything about YouTube and videography, and we got together to just come together to chat. But our teacher hearts kind of took over and we were still talking shop, and that was great because it fills us. We've found our tribe, and I think that's so important with finding your PLN, especially in this ed tech space, to get that support, especially if you're a lone ranger. And I want people to be okay with doing crazy things and taking risks and setting crazy big goals and making them happen. That's what I want to do with Canva. I want to be like the Mike Tholfsen of Canva. I'm throwing it out there, sharing it out there so people can hold me accountable. Super big goal, right? Mike Tholfsen, shout out to you, brother. He does so much for Microsoft, and he does it with ease. And I honestly don't think I'll ever achieve something like that. But if I can kind of set that crazy big goal and then work towards making it happen, I'm surely going to attain more than if I just settled. Like, okay, I'm at this company, I'm living the dream. Okay, that's it. You can't do that. You got to keep going.
This reminds me of a story, Scott. Callum's kind of smiling. I always like to tell this story, but it was about a year ago that Callum and I had a call, and he showed me the classroom portion of Wakelet, and I kind of went crazy. I was like, Callum, do you even know what you're doing? You're changing the entire landscape for educators. I mean, seriously, I was like, you don't even know. But I think it's so cool because Callum is such a role model for me in that regard, as far as taking a risk and having an idea and sharing it with somebody and getting that feedback. And I don't even know, Callum, did you expect classrooms and all that has come with classrooms to grow as big as it has?
Yeah, I think it was actually this time last year where I was like I was plotting, I was trying to like get everyone bought into the idea of what I wanted to achieve, and we're still not where we want to be or where I think we can be. And I think the next year or so is going to be really exciting. But yeah, the response to classrooms so far has been really, really interesting, and it's grown a lot. Obviously, teachers using Wakelet in so many ways to curate information, and they wanted to teach their students those same skills. But the problem was under 13s couldn't use it. So what we've tried to develop now is a safe and secure way for them to use the platform. But I think all the things that you've been mentioning before, I don't want to go into too much detail of like where it could go to in the future, but teachers connecting with other teachers and saving teachers time by allowing them to find lesson resources, plans, all these sorts of things, I think will progressively evolve to that. And I think that's where it starts to get really exciting, because we're going to provide immersive experience for students, but also save lots of time for teachers. And I think that's where I see classrooms going in the next sort of 6 months to a year. But I think I shared the vision of where it could go to this time last year to Tish. And I think we're about a fifth of the way there right now. So stay tuned. It's going to be
My favorite thing, Callum, this is one of my favorite Wakelet stories to tell, but I'm going to give this advice as well. Find somebody who's going to believe in the dream and the risk that you're sharing. So when Callum got me on that call, I was like freaking out. I was like, this is the most incredible thing I've seen. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And then I remember him calling over some people going, Tisha, can you tell them exactly what you just said? And I was like, sure. But I think it's important, when we're talking about educators surrounding themselves with people, find people who are going to believe in you and believe in that risk taking with you. It's so important. And I think Wakelet really cultivates that space for not only their teammates. I mean, we all kind of do that with each other, but also for educators. One of the things that I loved about Wakelet, and you've hit on it, Scott, so many times, is the community. But the community is great because the team leading them is great, and they're open to these ideas, and everybody on the Wakelet team listens to educators. And I'm telling you that from firsthand experience. Like, I would tell Callum, hey, this isn't working, or hey, this is what I still do that. I'm like you, Scott. I'm like, hey, everybody on this panel, they get Slack messages from me randomly in the middle of the night because I have some crazy idea. And I'm like, I don't know if this will work, or what about this? So surround yourself with all the dreamers and the risk takers. Yes.
And I think that's like that climate. It comes back to that climate and culture aspect, right? The inclusion, the digital equity piece, and also just encouraging the risk taking. I think that's something that makes Wakelet unique. And now here's my question for you, Michael. I often get asked, why use Wakelet? What makes it unique for educators and students? What would you say to that?
Yeah, it's a really great question. And I think there's a lot about Wakelet that is unique. I think I'd bring it down to 3 core components. First of all, is creativity. I think the sky is the limit for educators, for students in their use of Wakelet and how creative they can be. There's no clear way of using Wakelet. There's no way cut in stone. Obviously, we've seen amazing ideas from the community, whether it's digital portfolios, of course, is a big one. Newsletters is a big one. Lesson plans, discussion boards. They're kind of the way we've seen people using Wakelet, but it really is up to an individual or up to a class to use Wakelet for however they like, whether it's telling your story within Wakelet and showcasing your achievement, showcasing your personality in really visual, immersive settings. I really like the word immersive that Cal mentioned about how you can jump into a list of materials or a collection of materials that would otherwise be quite dull and difficult to engage with. With Wakelet, it's immersive and it is really engaging. So I think for anyone who hasn't used Wakelet that might be tuning into this, definitely just jump in and try and tell your story in a really visual way. The second one being the connection. I think you mentioned the pandemic and the challenges that it caused educators and everybody around the world. I think the most empowering thing that I've seen Wakelet be used for over the last couple of years are educators using it to connect with students. Sharing resources, sharing lesson plans, making sure that their students can stay engaged with their learning and take ownership of their learning from a remote setting. Is really empowering, and that continues to this day. Now that schools are back in a lot of scenarios, it's still being used in a way that, educators are using it to stay connected with each other, with students, and with people from all over the world. So I think that's really powerful to see. And then the last thing that makes Wakelet really unique is community. I think it goes without saying, and we mention it obviously a lot, but the Wakelet community is a really amazing thing, and I think it is a movement as well as a community now. People stay in touch with each other. They meet amazing people. They share ideas. They inspire one another. So I think getting involved in Wakelet, obviously as a platform, it unlocks a lot of doors and enables a lot of really powerful use cases, but it's also a community that's really meaningful to be a part of. So I encourage everybody to get involved in the community, as well as unlocking the full potential of the platform.
I think you're right. That last part, I think, really makes everything else happen, right? That community piece. And I would say the Wakelet community, even though it's inclusive like other communities, it's very unique in the way that it does it. I think back to ISTE 2019, Callum may remember all the excitement, Callum coming down with James and Jam, and I didn't see Mispa at that time, but I did see him later. In fact, I think y'all still use a promo of my face. I'm kind of like when he's going down the aisle at Flipgrid Live Showcase in Wakelet, because I'm like, oh, he's really here. And you all came on the scene like superstars, right? Like celebrities. It's like, the Wakelet team's here, and everybody went to find you. We were hopping on social media. Where's the Wakelet team going to be next? And that excitement and genuine joy from connecting happened because of the community piece. And I think that's where it's at right now. I think that's the only way we're going to go beyond surviving in this educational landscape right now, is to really just double down on community, be there for one another. Let's help each other, because it's in giving that we often receive. And you all have given so much and busted out so many cool new features, and you're always app smashing with more. It's like, okay, hey, everybody, we're better together. Let's bring this tool in, let's use it this way, let's display it this way, right? The way we're able to showcase our learning or showcase what we want others to know in a Wakelet collection has vastly grown. Question for you, Elle. What's your favorite feature?
That's a difficult question, because there are so many features that Wakelet have. Yeah, Wakelet has. I just think the kind of all of the integrations, as you're saying, the fact you can app smash, the fact we've got Flipgrid on there, we've got YouTube, we've got Google Drive, just things that enhance the Wakelet experience as a whole and can make you, or can allow you to take your collections to the next level. I think all of those integrations are so key. I mean, one of my favorite features that we've released this year is columns, or callums, as people were calling them on social. They've been a game changer for kind of organization and collaboration. Also Giphy as well, for making your collections feel more immersive.
Oh, yes.
So we're saying that we're getting engaging collections, but again, just having the ability to add in loads of images or text or videos, it just, again, takes it to the next level. It really makes learning kind of immersive and you want to learn. But I also love about Wakelet in general, that you can use it for anything. It's so versatile, it's so flexible, it can grow with you. I mean, if you want to make 1,000 collections, you can absolutely do that. It's completely unlimited. Whereas if you just wanted to keep it for a few personal things, that's okay as well. So I guess the fact that you can do it for so many, or use Wakelet for so many different reasons, is what kind of makes it special and unique, as Michael was saying before. But again, just touching on that community aspect, I mean, we've got our templates page where it's a great place to get started if you haven't used Wakelet before. But on that, we include templates that our community have made. And it's just so lovely to see that people want to help one another and they want to see other people grow. And they just want to enhance and take other people's kind of jobs to the next level and really help other educators around the world do their job even better than what they're doing already. So yeah, there's so many things to love about Wakelet, and I guess that's why I love it so much.
Yeah, so many reasons to love it, right? It's too hard to pick just one. And Sam, question for you. What would you say Wakelet's mission or vision is? Like, if somebody's saying they're new to Wakelet, what is Wakelet? Like, where are they going? What's at the core? Getting deeply philosophical here on you.
It's fine, yeah. It's a difficult question for anyone and for any platform out there. But at least to me, it seems that Wakelet is at a high level. Its aim is to curate and give context to all of the information on the web, no matter where it is, no matter what it is. You can put that into Wakelet, and hopefully we can give context to that information and make everything in the world a little bit easier to understand, which in essence is storytelling. And we think that people are the best storytellers. So in essence, Wakelet is the people that use it. It's only possible because we have the community, because we have the amazing educators on the platform. And I think that that's why we value people above everything else. Before we have like a big kind of goal or mission statement as a company, we just make sure that everyone is aligned, that everything we do is for and about the people that use it.
Wow. That is that's pretty deep. And while you were talking too, I was just reflecting on the time, and we're a little over, so I thank you all for staying in. As we kind of wrap up, I want to point out how well this is all worked with 6 of us on the call. I watched a professional broadcaster try and do something like this with the same amount of people, and it seemingly couldn't be done. And so I think that speaks volumes to your professionalism and how well you all work together to achieve great goals, right? It's been so neat to hear everybody's journey. I want to kind of have everyone kind of just restate kind of who they are, what they do, so people can follow you, and then plug your social media handle. And Tisha, I want you to plug the podcast you have going on as well. So we'll start with you, Callum. Let us know who you are, what you do at Wakelet, and where we can follow you.
Yeah, so I'm Callum Nightingale. I'm a product manager here at Wakelet. So I'm a key listener. I listen to everything that people say online, everything that people say when they're using the platform. And I work with the development team and the UX team and pretty much everyone to help bring improvements and make things better at Wakelet. So if you have any ideas or any problems or any feature requests or anything like that you'd like to share, feel free to hit me up on Twitter. So my handle is at CNIGHT97. Drop me a follow. I'll always follow people back. And yeah, feel free to just message me anytime.
That's great. Elle, we're going to go to you.
Yep, I'm Elle. I am a designer here at Wakelet. I'm not as kind of fancy as Callum and have kind of connections with the development team. But if you ever wanted to reach out on social, I'm at Elle Wakelet. Always down for a chat about anything, giving advice about collections and stuff. I love making collections. I love seeing other people's collections. So yeah, please share anything that you're making with me because I'd love to see it. But it's been great. Thank you so much, Scott.
Oh, my pleasure. And we're going to be in contact. I have some ideas. So keep a lookout for that. Sam, let's go to you.
Yeah, so I'm Sam. I'm the other graphic designer. Me and Elle are a bit like a dynamic duo. So again, if anyone wants to follow me on Twitter, that's just Sam Jordan UK. And we're always happy to see like the creations that you've got going, see your collections. So yeah, reach out.
I love that. And Michael, you're up.
Yeah, I'm Michael. I'm on the marketing and growth team at Wakelet. I take care of the social media channels. I also look to get involved in campaigns and to share the Wakelet wave with as many people around the world as possible. You should be able to see my Twitter handle over here, MichaelFD95. Drop me a follow, get in touch. Always great to hear from you.
Yes, and speaking about Wakelet waves, I'm part of the 5th wave. I missed the first few waves, but I caught it finally. So shout out to fellow 5th wavers. I know Raina Friedman. She's over on the East Coast with MassQ. Shout out to her. She's somebody I really gravitated towards and have loved connecting with. And that was brought about through Wakelet, that specific connection. So I have to thank Wakelet for that. And Tisha, go ahead and take it.
I'm Tisha Poncio, the digital learning specialist at Wakelet. I'm also part of the marketing and growth team. I really do a whole lot of things. I get to work with Callum and talk about product. Honestly, I work with every department. I did some user testing. I do webinars. We have our podcast, so make sure you go look for the Wakelet podcast. It's www.wakelet.com/@the-Wakelet-podcast. I believe Michael and Elle and I all have some series on there that you can go listen to or watch. Make sure that you're following us on all the social media platforms: LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I believe Rick and I are both on TikTok. If you are over there, I saw some really cool Wakelet TikToks last night, you guys. So I think the Wakelet wave is hitting TikTok finally. And I'm also on Twitter at Texas Tech Chick. I don't know where it's over here.
Right.
But you can follow me, DM me. You can find me on Instagram. You can honestly find me anywhere. Probably my phone number is out there somewhere because I get random texts all the time. But I love hearing from educators. Make sure you're letting us know if you need anything. I think that's the really key goal here is that if you guys need anything and you're watching or you haven't used Wakelet and you need assistance, reach out to any of us. Anybody on the team is super helpful. Again, somebody is awake. So it's sort of like we're awake 24 hours a day because we're all kind of tag teaming. I've done calls with Hawaii at like 9 o'clock my time. So we are always here for you. And if you need anything, let us know. Thank you, Scott, for having us.
No, what a blessing to have you all taking time out of your day. Tisha, getting up early, powering up. There's so much work to be done in the landscape of education. And so the fact that you were able to etch out a little more time for educators and for myself, I am seriously grateful, and a great way to just spend a Friendsgiving and power up and get ready for Thanksgiving tomorrow with my family. So I'm really grateful, and I'm following you all. And I want to encourage the audience to do so. You can follow me, Scott Nunes, at Mr. Nunes Teach on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. And maybe I need to get on TikTok, it sounds like. So maybe there too. We'll see. All right. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Have a great day, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Scott.